Welcome back to the Arabic Fashion and Style. In today's class, we're going to learn how to make this beautiful detachable bubble skirt. So we made this skirt as a two-in-one dress for a baby jumpsuit. I'm going to link the tutorial in the description box. So in this class, we're going to be focusing on the bubble skirt. It's a very simple tutorial and it's beginner friendly. If this is something you like to learn, kindly stay tuned to the end of this tutorial. Thank you.
Okay, so for this you should do this directly on your fabric, but for the purpose of the tutorial I want to mark it on the paper so that we can see what I'm doing very well. So it's a detachable bubble skirt, so I'm not going to be sewing it to the half length, but I'm going to be attaching it to the under dress or shorts by elastic or hook or loops. Whatever you want to use to attach it is fine, but the focus now is on how to make the dress, the skirt. There are several ways you can make it. I'm going to be using the Canadian smoking ruffle method, but you can also gather it. That's what you want to do, but the Canadian smoking is always really beautiful, so that's what I'm going to be using. I have done something similar on the channel, but people keep requesting for this kids dress. That's why I just decided to make it today. So for my, we're going to be creating boxes to do this, but first we need to know the measurement we are working with. The measurement of the child that I'm working with, the most small measurement that you need is the waist. We are going to be placing this, and the length of the skirt. So for me, the waist of this child is 20 inches, and the length of this skirt, that's from the, remember the half length is not there, that's from your half length to where you want it to be. It's usually a short skirt. Okay, if it's too long, it's not going to be really fine. So I'm just going to make the total length of the skirt to be around 10 inches. So we are going to be creating ruffles with this. So of course we cannot use this measurement because it's going to become smaller by the time we create the ruffles, and even need it excess so that it can form this bubble that you want for you. So for the waistline, I'm going to be multiplying the waist by, from 8 to 12 inches is okay. So I think I'm going to multiply this by 10 inches, and that's going to give me 200. That's the measurement I'm going to be working for the waist, 200 inches. And then for the length, by the time you smoke it as well, it's going to be shorter, and then you need extra as well so that it can form the bubbles for you. So for this length now, you can multiply the length by 2.5 or 3 inches. So I think I'm going to be doing 3 inches, and then the length is going to be 30 inches. This means that I'll go ahead now and cut a fabric of 200 inches long and 30 inches width for my Canadian smoking. So after cutting it now, you start marking on the fabric. So to mark on the fabric, I want to use a box of 2 inches by 2 inches. The ruler that I have here is 2 inches in width, so it's going to make this work a lot easier for me, because remember, imagine you are working with a fabric of 200 by 30. That's a lot, so you need something that will make this work as easy as possible for you. With this ruler, I will not have to start marking it one after the other. You can see it's 2 inches, so I'll just place it there and start marking. So like this now, you're going to place it and mark it out, then you place beside the next one, you mark, you do the next one, you mark. This is how you're going to be marking it on your fabric. Okay, you keep marking like that, so yeah, till you get to the end point. Then after that, you come to the width as well, and then you start marking your 2 inches. So you're going to have a perfect square of 2 inches by, sorry, you're going to have a perfect square of 2 inches by 2 inches. So after marking like this, I'm going to create the point that we are going to be doing the smoking. So for the first one, the first line, you may not make it this big, because that's where we're going to gather. So you can do like 1 inch on the first line, and we're not going to do anything to it, so you can just make it the 2 inches like that. So after that now, we'll start smoking it. So this other side as well, I want to leave it. I'll start creating my points from here. So here now, I'll mark this point, I'll leave a space, and then mark the next point, then you leave a space and mark the next point as well. So after marking it like this, the next line you're going to leave it completely, and then you move to another one. So here the same line that you mark this right under it, you're going to mark, you leave a space, you mark here as well, leave a space, and then you do another marking here. I hope you understand this. So you come to the next one, you leave it completely, and then you start marking under it as well. So that's how you're going to keep doing it. For me, I have gone ahead to cut my fabric. I'm using this mercury fabric, and you know this fabric is by 60. So this means that the 30 inches length that I need, I just divided the length into two. I cut it into two. So the 60 cut into two, you can see now that it's small. I have cut it into two. It's 30 inches by 30 inches. So this fabric is about 3 yards. So 3 yards, 3 times 76, 3 times 36. Remember, a yard is 36 inches. 3 times 36 is going to give me just about 100 and something. It's not up to 200. So because this is 3 yards, it makes it easy for me. After dividing the length like this, remember the length is 60 and this is 3 yards. So this 3 yards, let's assume this is 100 inches. So we have 100 inches by 60 inches. So what I did was just to divide it so that I will have 30 30. So here, if I divide by half like this, it means I have 100 by 30. 100 by 30. So after cutting it out, I just joined the 100 by 30 here to this side. So you can see where I sewed them together here. So I just joined them together, which means that here I have 100 by 30 and here I have 100 by 30. If you had it, it means you're going to have 200 by 30. I hope you understand that. So that was how I was able to manage my fabric. So after all of that, the next thing is for you to start marking on the fabric. Like I said, it's a lot, so I'm not going to mark everything at once. I'll be doing it in bits, and then I'm going to use machine to tack it. You can use your needle and thread, but for this I would advise you use your machine because it is a lot, like I said, so that it's not going to take so much of your time. So the marking I did on the paper, this marking, I have done it on my fabric as well. I hope it's visible. So now where you put this dash, okay, that's where you're going to be tacking. So like I said, I'm using machine, so and you are going to be doing this marking on your fabric, on the wrong side of your fabric. So I'm using chalk. So because of that, I'm just going to be doing it in bits, and because it's big, like I said, if you mark everything all at once, before you start sewing it, the chalk markings may be cleaning off and you'll not be able to see. You can see some are already cleaning off. So I'm just going to be doing it bit by bit, maybe half yard, 18 inches. When I finish that, I'll continue the marking and do again. So that's going to make the work easy for you. So what I'm going to do on this, where I have this dash mark, I'm just going to take them together like this, take it to my sewing machine and stitch. You're going to just back stitch on it just to hold it together. So if you are using your needle and thread, you just need to use your needle and thread to tack it there. So after that, I'll go to the next one where I have this line. I'm going to close them up together like this, hold like this, and then stitch again. I hope you understand that. You leave it, you move to the next one where you have this mark, you hold it and stitch. Let me see if I can do this with paper. So where you have this line here, you're just going to cover them up together, hold them together like this, and then you flip and stitch, just back stitch, just something to hold it together. So that's how you're going to keep doing for all of it. So I'll start sewing it now and I'll bring it back to show us what it looks like. So you can see I started smoking it. So you just close it up just like I explained, and then you tack around it. So this is what it looks like on the right side, and this is the wrong side. So you need to be doing it in bits to make the work easier for you. So now I stopped here so that I can still have this reference point. I'll continue marking, and this is how I'm going to completely ruffle all of this. So you can see that it's getting smaller now. Remember the big space I started with, so now it's getting smaller because of the ruffles that we are doing there. So I'm going to go ahead and ruffle all the fabric that I have, and then I'll bring it back for us to see. You can see that it's a lot. So I'll do all of them now and bring it back. Okay, so I am done making the ruffles now. So you can see this is going to take time, but it's worth it. You can see how beautiful it is looking. So this is what we have now. Now I'm going to cut out the skirt using my actual measurement. It's going to be like an A-line skirt using my actual measurement, and that is what I'm going to use to control this ruffle. So for this, I'm working with this. It's a satin fabric in lilac. I don't have the exact color of the trim of this I don't have the exact color of the fabric that we are working with for the flare. So like I said, it's a 90-degree flare, so the hem is not going to be so wide. For that, to cut a 90-degree flare, you can cut it in form of an hairline, but for me, I don't want the sides to have joining. I don't know if you understand me. I don't want it to be separate. I want the sides to be cut together. That's why I'm using this 90-degree flare method. So to do that, the radius that you are placing it, in my case, my radius, that's the waistline, is 20 inches. You're going to divide that by 1.57. That's a constant for 90-degree flare. I have a tutorial on how you can get that if you want to know, but it's a constant. So my 20 inches, which is my radius now, I'm going to divide it by 1.57, and that's giving me around 12.7 thereabouts. So now my radius is going to be 12.7. So to fold the flare, remember, if you are folding your normal flare, you fold in two and all of that, but for this, you're not going to fold into two. As it is now, I'm just going to fold it in form of a triangle like this. So I'm trying to look for a side that is not cut. So you can see, I'll just put it on fold by like a bias like this, and I'm going to take my measurements. So the radius is 12.7, and remember, the length of this skirt is supposed to be 10 inches. Okay, that's the length that we started with, 10 inches. So I just had 1 inch for seam allowance. That's 11. So this 11 now, I'm going to add it to the 12.7. Okay, 11 plus 12 is 23, so that's about 23.7. So from this upper part now, I'm going to mark that all around, so that this is going to be easier. Okay, I'm making 23.75. Then you're going to cut out your radius from that. So after connecting, I'll grab my scissors and then cut this out. So now I've cut it out. I'll go ahead and mark out the 12.7 that I'm using for my radius from this. So here now, I'm going to mark that out. So that's going to amount to your waist measurement. Okay, so now here I'll have up to my waist measurement with allowance to, we are adding distances, so you can see we have about 11 point something. So by the time we multiply, it's going to be around 23. So now this is the skirt that I'm going to be sewing the ruffle to. You will see that it's still an hairline. It's not big like a flare. It's still an hairline, but the beauty is that you will not have to join the side seam together. It's just the back that will have joining. So what I'm going to do now is to go ahead and gather the hem of my ruffle to fit into what I have here. What I have here is not so wide. This is just about 40 inches, and you know this one is 200 inches. So what I'm going to do now is to gather all of this to fit into what I have on this hem. I'll do that and bring it back to show us what we have. So I have sewn it. You can see I just gathered it to fit into this. So now the upper part as well, I'm going to gather it to fit into the radius. Remember, my radius is 23 inches. okay, and my actual measurement is 20. You can see it's about 26 inches. So I made it that big because I'm going to be using elastic to make this easy to wear for the child. But if you're working with the exact waist measurements, you can put zipper at the back or you use buttons. But for me, I'm just going to be placing elastic by this side. That's why I have my waist bigger like that. So now I'm going to go ahead and sew this to the upper part as well. I'm going to gather it to the upper part here. Okay, so I can achieve a neat finishing by this side. Remember, the side is going to be bigger than 10 inches as well. So here you can see this is right side facing right side. I'm going to gather this to fit into the side and flip before I sew it to the waistline. I hope you understand that. So I have gone ahead to gather it on the waist as well, and for my side, for the center back, I decided to sew it separately so that it can be neat. So I sewed the lining separately and the main fabric separately. So this is what the center back looks like. This is what the inside of the skirt is looking like now. Okay, you can see how neat it is on the inside as well. So now the next thing is to finish off the waist area. So ideally I would have used this satin, but because it's not the same color, I'm going to use the mercury for my band. So I just add hairstay to it so that it can give it a little bit of structure, and then I'm going to sew it around the waistline of the skirt. So by this side, you can use your elastic all through. You can just pass elastic all through, or you can just place your elastic by this side. Whichever one you want to work with is fine. So I'll go ahead and do that. Then after that, I can add trimmings to the band so that the band is not going to be plain. So I'll do that and bring it back to show us. Okay, so I have applied the band to it. You can see this is the band sewn into it, and then I just put elastic by this side so that I can gather it back to the 20 inches that I need. So this is what it looks like on the inside, and this is what it looks like on the outside. So you can just go ahead and tack beads to it. You can put a stitch feather at points if you want it to be more beautiful, but it's really beautiful as it is right now. I'll take it to the mannequin so that we can see what it looks like. So this is the play suit that the child is going to be wearing this with. That way it can be worn as a ball gown, or it can simply be worn as a play suit. It's actually 2-in-1 like this. So tutorial on how I made this play suit also has been uploaded, and it will be tagged below.